We've got details of these and many more coming up in the next 20 minutes if you spend your time with me. Remember, we're live on DSTV channel 279. On to our very first story. The National Council of the NPP will meet later today to firm up changes to the party's front bench in Parliament. The meeting is in line with Article 14, Clause 2 of the party's constitution, which mandates the National Council to select leaders in Parliament. Even before the meeting, it has emerged that Efutu MP Alexander Penyo-Markin will be the new majority leader, with Patricia Pieje as his deputy. Frank Anodempre and Habib Idrisu will remain as chief whip, and first deputy was Alex Tete Jo Nubua, completing the pack as second deputy whip. Well, this is a development of grave interest to us, and so we'll keep tap on that and surely update you in our subsequent bulletins. After nearly 15 years as leader of the new Patriotic Party in Parliament, Osei Mensah Bonsu has confirmed he will no longer occupy the position. After rendering his resignation, the Suame legislator would not assume the front seat reserved for him until prevailed upon, as processes are yet to be formalized for his replacement. Komla Cliche has more.
Even before the outgoing majority leader could make an entry into Parliament on Thursday, the supposed new leaders had already occupied the front seats. Moments thereafter, the man of the moment walked in. After 27 years in Parliament and occupying the front seat, the Swami Mugabe, as he's affectionately called, walks into the chamber for the first time, deciding not to sit on his black leather chair. Understandably so, he resigned the night before voluntarily, a move many are still coming to terms with. He first decided to occupy the seat of the Dansia Sokwa MP, Katie Hammond, approached by his deputy whip, beckoning him to move to the black seat. He declined. Well, after few senior MPs had spoken to him, he moved shortly to the black chair, occupied it briefly, and left.
Few, like Fort Good Hope, which draws in a number of foreign visitors, but high local patronage.
He then moved towards the first Deputy Speaker, Joseph Osei Owusu. After moments of exchanges, he left the chamber.
For writing the statement on our forts and castles and bring it to fore once again, because this is the second time I think she's making the statement on tourism. And I appreciate it because this is one sector that has the potential of creating a lot of jobs for our young people.
The first Deputy Speaker said Osei Mensah Bonsu bowing out is unfortunate.
I am personally disappointed that the Che decided to stand down. He has been a fantastic leader, an extremely hardworking person, and I would have wished that he stayed on to the end.
What is clear and obvious, Osei Mensah Bonsu has taken an early shower and will not occupy the black leather seat.
Right. There's always a leader who cobra.
Komla Cliche, TV3 News, Parliament House, Accra.
Away from the NPP, let's delve to the camp of the NDC because its flag bearer is scheduled to lead a policy dialogue to fine-tune his 24-hour economic game-changer policy. After weeks of engagement with stakeholder groups, Labour, students and ordinary Ghanaians, Social Democracy Lab, a think tank organization, is championing the two-day event which started on Thursday, February 2020. And John Mahama is yet to adopt the policy document on the much-touted 24-hour economy. But the TUC has thrown its weight behind it in what it describes as the game-changer. John Dramani Mahama will therefore today address the fair given further details on the 24-hour economy. In another development, the movement for change will begin a tour of selected markets across the Greater Accra region later today. The leader of the movement for change, Alan Chirmantin, is expected to lead this outreach, employing a grassroots approach to touch base with voters with his message to break the duopoly of the NPP and the NDC. Mr. Chirmantin, who is seeking election as independent candidate, has described the tour as a unique opportunity to engage suppliers and buyers. Well, if you're just tuning in, you're watching the first news bulletin of the day right here on TV3 with me, George Queenin. In more news this morning, energy strategists at Eureka Energy Solutions is urging the National Petroleum Authority, NPA, to investigate Century Oil Refinery. Dr. Yusuf Sulemana is calling for full compensation for all consumers affected by allegations of substandard fuel from the refinery. Various civil society organizations have alleged that Century Oil Refinery has placed unwholesome petroleum products on the Ghanaian market, violating national fuel specifications. Take a listen.
Developments are quite worrying, and the allegations are quite serious that will require an in-depth and impassionate investigation to ascertain, to confirm the otherwise of the situation, whether those allegations hold some substance or not. If actually people are impacted, then they have to be compensated. And all assets that are deemed damaged as a result of this, if it's proven, they have to be compensated. And beyond that, there has to be guarantee from Centio that such a thing will not repeat. In that case, Centio, they have to find the root cause if it's proven that that is actually the case.
Let's just stay in the oil and gas space. The National Petroleum Authority, NPA, has refuted allegations of contaminated or substandard fuel on the market. According to the NPA, it has at all material times and follows the rules and regulations governing the industry fairly and equitably. The Institute of Energy Security, IES, and the Chamber for Petroleum Consumers, COPEC, had earlier accused the regulator of playing soft with China's Century Oil Refinery by allowing the firm to sell contaminated fuel to the oil marketing companies. But in a statement released by the authority on Thursday, the NPA said it is incorrect for the IES and COPEC to allege that the NPA is playing soft with Century Oil Refinery to the detriment of consumers and the state. It, however, noted that during one of its routine checks, the petrol consignment in question was noted to exhibit vapor pressure above the maximum requirement, but immediately directed the suspension of sale of the consignment at the refinery and further directed the evacuation of the product from the affected stations. Get the full report when you go onto our website, it's 3news.com. Pressure is mounting on management of the Kalpohin Senior High School in Tamale and the Northern Regional Education Directorate to fast-track an independent investigation into the death of a first-year student of the school on Sunday, February 18. There are also calls for the Education Directorate to give counseling services to the students who witnessed the death of their colleague.
Idi Yakubu died at the Tamale Teaching Hospital on arrival. He is believed to have died due to the delay in transporting him to the hospital. This was after the housemaster allegedly refused to ensure the student was transported to the hospital. It took the intervention of a passerby to assist the students to transport their colleague who was vomiting blood to the hospital, an incident which has received major condemnation from the public. Education watchers and child rights advocacy groups have called for a full-scale investigation into the matter.
So let us know that issues that happen in the school has to be everyone's concern. And the students are in the custody of the teachers as well as the leadership of the school. And so if there's an issue around something that has to affect the life of a student, all these things has to come up in terms of discussion or investigating why these issues have happened.
The Northern Regional Director of Education, Hajia Katumi Nantoma Atta, during her visit to the school on Thursday, gave strong indications that the directorate will ensure thorough investigation into the circumstances that led to the death of the Form 1 student, Idi Yakubu, on Sunday, February 18. Has also indicated that the students who transported the deceased to the hospital will undergo counseling. The Northern Regional Police Command has also commenced investigations into the matter.
Well, let's know what you make of stories that have been aired so far. Just go into our social media platform, particularly Facebook, where you're live. Engage us with your opinions, comment, and we'll surely read them and share them to the rest of the world. In more news this morning, the socialized Movement of Ghana and the Palestinian Solidarity Campaign have petitioned the United Nations for economic sanctions, free trade agreements and cooperation agreements until Israel complies with international law obligations regarding the persistent bombardment of Gaza. The two groups picketed at the forecourt of the United Nations Development Program in Accra.
The Socialist Movement of Ghana and the Palestinian Solidarity Campaign are demanding a mandatory arms embargo on Israel, a cancellation of free trade and cooperation agreements, expelling Israel from international forums, and arresting and prosecuting Israeli nationals inciting genocide. The groups are also requesting the UN to enforce preliminary reliefs issued by the International Court of Justice, which deem Israel's actions in Gaza as clear acts of genocide.
If a body that really houses the entire international community will sit for just a few countries to be vetoing whatever important decisions they may take. So we just want to make the international community understand that we need justice before peace can be achieved.
The recent ICJ ruling, the South African case, where 15 or 16 to 1, all rooted in favor of Israel halting its offenses, opening the humanitarian corridors. Nothing has happened to that. So at the end of the day, the United Nations office is one of the places such signals can be sent that until victory is won, the cause of the Palestinians will be fought, and it will be fought by all manner of people all across the globe.
The two groups aim to signal the international community through the UN to swiftly address the atrocities against Palestinian civilians in Gaza.
To present a petition to the United Nations office here in Accra, but as part of our demand to the United Nations to enforce the recent ruling by the International Court of Justice on acts of genocide committed by Israel on the Palestinian people.
And our security and international relations expert, Professor Vladimir Ntwi-Danso, has commended the action of the Socialist Movement of Ghana and the Palestinian Solidarity Campaign in condemning the inaction of the United Nations to stop Israel's persistent targeting of civilians in its war with Gaza. He asked that Ghana's foreign policy position to align with Israel and the United States, regardless, is uncomfortable. Take a listen to him.
What is happening in Gaza is appalling. And unfortunately, the United Nations itself is impotent in the face of the veto. So some people might think the United Nations is incapable of handling such global affairs. It's not the case. Structurally, it is very much handicapped. So it is civil societies around the world that can make the case for things to change. Foreign policy is now public policy. Unfortunately, governments think that foreign policy is in their bosom. So standing by Israel, no problem. But it looks as though since then, Ghana has shown a certain kind of character, as if we were backing the United States, no matter what. And that's a little uncomfortable for most of us. We seem to be running away from the main pillars of Ghana's foreign policy, Pan-Africanism, and on that score, we should have supported South Africa strongly, positive neutrality, and multilateralism. I believe that our condemnation of Hamas was because of our multilateralist stand. So the guys who took up the mantle to demonstrate today must be commended. It's an appalling situation, and Ghana must not be seen to be playing footsie to American foreign policy, not as an apron string to American foreign policy. It's very unfortunate.
And now let's talk sports, shall we? The day has finally arrived. The Black Queens are set to take on the Copper Queens of Zambia today in the Olympic Games qualifiers. It will be an opportunity for the Nora Hoptel to boost her win rate. But how brilliant has that been so far with the team? Bill Eshen takes a look.
Black Stars coaches employed by Keto Kreku. Since taking over the Black Queen, do you know that Nora Hupla is the most successful head coach among Ghana national teams in the last 5 years? The Swiss manager has a win percentage unmatched compared to all 4 Black Stars coaches employed by Keto Kreku. Since taking over the Black Queens in January 2023, she has won 10 out of 11 games. That is a 91% win rate. It completely trumps the tenure of the last 4 Black Stars coaches combined. None of Charles O'Connor, Milovan Rajevac, Otto Addo, or Chris Houghton crossed the 40% mark. CK won 40% of 10 games, Rajevac won 37.5% of 8 games, Otto Addo won 33% of 12 games, and Chris Houghton, who managed the team for 13 games, had a win rate of 30.77%. Hoopla's wins have come with a significant impact as well. The Black Queens are through to the first Women's Cup of Nations since 2018, having been omnipresent at the competition. The Queens are also firmly in the running for a first ever appearance at the Olympic Games. She definitely is cooking something special.
Well, on that sports note, we end the morning news. For more news updates, you'd want to log on to our website, s3news.com. Thanks for watching. In a world where you can be anything, just be kind. It costs nothing to be kind. Have a good morning.